And the JSE ended Wednesday in the red, with global peers mixed, while the rand touched its best level in more than a week as investors digested the United States Consumer Inflation Report. U.S. inflation rose 0.6% in August as measured by the Consumer Price Index and was up 3.7% from a year ago. For a direction now on how the local trade is likely to react to this and other business stories, we're joined by Makwe Masilela, Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Mr. Masilela, thank you very much for your time and indeed your patience. Give us your quick overview of how the markets opened and in particular the reaction to the U.S. inflation report.
You know, the markets managed to open in the positive territory, and after that mixed inflation report, because as much as the normal inflation has been up, but the core inflation, all the traders are saying the core inflation has not moved, so as a result they don't expect to see that changing the direction when it comes to U.S. interest rates. Next week, Wednesday, we continue to expect that the U.S. Central Bank, they don't have to increase interest rates, and markets are looking ahead to the session later where we'll expect to get the European Central Bank announcing their interest rate decision. And so far, markets are divided whether the guys will give us the 10th increase in a row or they will just stay put. But so far, 64% of the market participants expect the guys to increase interest rates, that is the European Central Bank.
Let's quickly launch into company news. Met-Air Investments posting their interim results for the period which ended on the 30th of June 2023. How have they fared?
Remember, the guys manufacture, distribute and retail, your products starting from the battery storage and also the automotive components, and 64% of their revenue is coming from the automotive component, and we have seen that there have been some significant recovery when it comes to the original equipment manufacturers after the KZN floods, and also with that ramp up when it comes to the Ford project. And when it comes to the largest manufacturer of battery in Turkey, it was unfortunately affected by the likes of the earthquake and also the issue with the war in Ukraine. Hence, we've seen that the export were less when it comes to Russia and also to the US. But as it stands now, the guys expected that with the launching of new vehicles happening locally, then they expect the volume sales to go up. They should do okay. And we've seen their revenue going up by 31%. And we've seen that, unfortunately, because of high interest rates, especially in Turkey, where they've averaged almost over 40%, that increased their interest cost expenses by almost 125%, and that itself had a negative impact when it comes to their profits, as headline earnings per share, which decreased by 9%.
African Rainbow Capital Investments, their full year financial results also out. What do those numbers look like?
An investment holding company which is black-owned, black-controlled. The guys, they've got significant investments, or their key investments are the likes of Rain. I think it's just over 27% of the fund value. Time Bank is just around 12%. Alexander Forbes are around 7%. They've seen their intrinsic net asset value going up by 13%, but their cash on hand decreased by 25% and debt increased by over 51%. But because of good performance from their key investments, because we've seen the likes of Rain, they've managed to get a new spectrum, which also helped them to be able to launch new products that was positive for them. And Rain is no longer cash. They've gone beyond the period of being cash and net outflows, but are generating more cash more than anything. Time Bank managed to have almost or acquiring 7.4 million customers as end of June, and also they've managed to get some good coverage with that partnership with the Foshini Group, so that helped them. And the likes of Alexander Forbes, share price have managed to go up, so that also benefited the net intrinsic value when it comes to African Rainbow Capital.
Let's conclude with this, and it's goodbye Johannesburg and hello New York Stock Exchange, as the JSE stalwart Anglo Gold Ashanti moves its primary listing to the New York Stock Exchange next week. Talk us through this particular process, Mr. Masilela, what it means for local investors.
It's about time, Kole. The guys, number one, they don't have operations here in South Africa. The guys, they're moving their head office to London. The guys are looking to at least compete with their peers. As we are talking now, their peers who are listed on the likes of the New York Stock Exchange are trading at a 25% premium. So they didn't have much of a choice. The guys have to be exposed to cheap money, to deep pockets. Remember, there are funds out there which are just focusing on mining, and also the good coverage when it comes to the sell-side research. So it was just about time for that to happen. But yes, local investors will continue to be able to tap or buy the share, and that will be happening in such a way that it doesn't even interfere with your allowance that you are supposed to be taking out every year. So we'll still have an exposure because the guys will have a secondary listing continuing here on the JSE. But I think that is a move that was bound to happen, and it's not the first one that is happening. We've seen the likes of Anglo American itself doing that as well.
Makwe Masilela, Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers, thank you very much for your time.